again?
Oh yeah, no, your producer's job's left.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a step.
Okay, move away from
Yeah.
If that makes you
Yeah,
feel
like-
really well, let you take it.
Welcome to opshopradio, episode 0, where we make all the fuck-ups.
All the fuck-ups.
I'm accompanied by Mr. Bo Morgan, alongside nice guy Steve and his girlfriend Pauline. They're here to make sure that I don't get too racist, which I typically don't unless I'm drinking Caronis.
Oh, I love Coronis.
Would you like to tell the people a little bit more about what we intend to be doing?
What we intend to be doing is pretty much a shit show, really, about talking about current issues, philosophical insights.
I'm all about insights.
Yeah, insights and philosophy.
Nice.
The in-depth computations.
Of whatever the fuck's going through your mind.
Yeah, just things to really think about.
Yeah. Really think about.
Like I mentioned to the people earlier, I'm going to do my absolute best to put us on some kind of hate list. I want us to be red flagged on YouTube, banned from Twitter, and is demonetized as soon as possible. However, I've been instructed to explain that these people sitting around me do not necessarily share my views expressed, as much as I'm going to do my best to convince them that they do.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Have we got a next in line topic, Miss Producer?
So, if you would like to discuss what motivated you to become part of the podcast.
Well, you guys dragged me into it.
Yeah.
Tell them the story.
Story.
Well, I mean-
should we add the handcuffs and stuff like that as well? Should keep those out.
I do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do.
Anyone who knows me knows what I mean.
Yeah. So we found you in the garden one day, and then we came by and we were like, yes, this guy looks like he'd be good on a podcast. Talks enough shit. So we handcuffed him.
Wasn't there a dick involved?
Oh yeah, lots. Yeah, all over the deck. Yeah, all over the deck. Yeah, chains.
Pretty big dick.
Yeah, pretty big deck.
Finally lost my virginity that night.
Oh,
Oh, it was amazing.
so 3 of them. Like
So all 3 of my virginities.
all 3 of the virginities.
I had no idea that most women had bigger dicks than I do.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't mind meeting one. I wouldn't mind meeting one that doesn't. You guys, you're single, right, Steve? Dave? Keith?
Who am I again?
Yeah.
Didn't you introduce me as this is my girlfriend?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I'm single, yeah,
Your
whatever.
sister, right? We live in a time at the moment, as you've probably seen in the introduction video, is that people are quite involved in their own echo chambers. And
Echo chambers.
they're echo chambers. You know, where you like
Like a chamber that echoes.
like you talk your own shit, you know, like your own political crap, and it just echoes back to you because you select your own friends on Facebook.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And you select your own people around you and all that kind of
Like
stuff.
choose the sort of
Yeah.
world you're living
Yeah,
in.
yeah, exactly.
And what is in your
Choose
world.
relate.
Yeah, and YouTube's only going to feed you things relating to things that you previously clicked and
Yeah.
Yeah.
all that,
videos.
all that kind of shit. And you just become more and more polarized. Whereas, I don't know, like I'm a pretty hateful guy, but I like to think I'm also full of love. And I think people should, you know, focus on these things. And we're going to try and solicit conversation between people that don't agree with each other, and keep that conversation, what would you say, civil, as civil as possible.
Yep, civil, educational,
Mm.
logical, best we can, but with love.
Yeah.
So
emotional.
are you trying to bring people with different opinions together to form an opinion, or just to
No, to
acknowledge that they both have different opinions?
Yep, to see
That's
different
great.
perspectives.
Yeah. I feel like I'm diving in the deep end real quick, but the way a lot of, let's say, older civilizations of people perceived like a debate was different to how we see it now. And it's kind of interesting how you can draw like parallels from really old myths and stories and shit. And that when people like had some kind of like debate in like a senate, right, in Mesopotamia or Greece or something like that, the stories always portrayed them as a fight, you know, and they weren't fights, right? They were just conversations between, you know, the most noble of all the farmers and the I don't know, the guy that owned the most pigs or something, right?
Yeah.
But it was always portrayed as a fight between like a dragon
It was
and,
a
a,
battle.
and a Jesus
Yeah.
or something, right?
Yeah.
And that's because they believed that you are not your opinion, right? Carl Jung said people don't have ideas, ideas have people. In that, if you've got an opinion about something, right, you really, really like the Labour Party and I really hate them, right?
Yeah.
It's like your love for the Labour Party is not you, it's your love for the Labour Party. And my hate towards them is not necessarily me, it's an opinion.
Yeah.
So we create avatars of our own opinions. And my avatar is, you can make it as dramatic as you want in story, you know? And you can do the same with yours. And then those two avatars fight in like an abstract narrative kind of way. They both die and something uniquely new is born. Something that you might fucking hate or you might like, or I might hate and you might like, or whatever, right? But I would really, really love to be in a position where we can have someone on one of these couches who's just so polar opposite in every single way, yet they're willing to separate their like
The beliefs and
and put them up on trial, you know.
and maybe, you know, close or open their mind and just not take away their and just hear out other sides of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes two ways, right? People often tell me off for, you know, talking too fast or being too argumentative or whatever, which is 100% true. Like, I'll argue with a 10-year-old girl because I'll fucking win, you know?
Guaranteed.
Just like I could probably beat a 10-year-old girl in a fight.
Ooh, yeah.
That's easy picking, man. You should up your game.
Then I might get hurt. Risk. But you never want to be at a point in your life where you just keep repeating the same mistake and running into the same wall.
No.
You know, so
It's trying to move forward.
If I say something absurd, I expect another person to at least flip me off. You know, like like you'd hope so. And I think that's something we really ought to welcome. It's like nothing is sacred, nothing is off out of bounds, and so long as you're not, you know, like what's it called, inciting violence and threatening someone, you know, because that's kind of fucked up. Then you know, ideas should do battle with ideas, and I think that's a really cool thing that's not necessarily lost today, but it's definitely lost in our age group today, and it's definitely lost in social media today.
Yeah, see it a lot. And they're like saying they do get stuck in their own kind of repetitive cycles of complaining about something and then finding someone else who's also complaining about the same thing and then getting stuck in that loop. And it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So they just complain about these things and don't actually try to see it from a different perspective or see it from a problem-solving side of it, where they when they try to fix it.
No, go ahead.
I just one thing that really gets me is people that can't see the other's perspective. Like I feel like I could be quite an understanding person because I can usually put myself in someone else's shoes and I do kind of understand it and see it from their side of, you know, their view.
You at least got to entertain it, right? Like you at least have to flirt with the idea that what someone is asserting is right. You know?
Yeah.
Like at the very least, you know, you might find yourself in a situation where you're talking about a worldview with someone, and they're saying all these crazy claims, and it's pretty clear to you that they live in some really, really scary world. Because all this shit that they believe is, like, obvious nonsense. But you have to be able to flirt with the idea of, oh, maybe that is actually reality. How bad would my world be if that was the case? And, I mean, you can really hit a fucking home run in debate like that by going, like, whatever world you live in, it sounds real scary because you're crazy. You know? To build on what you were saying before, if you get, like, 10 people, a good echo chamber size, or 100 or 1,000, but you get like 10 people, and each one has 10% of an ideology, and that ideology could be anything. It could be like white power, or it could be, you know, Samsung is better than Apple, right? And they're all 10% there, you know? So they're pretty reasonable, balanced people, might even be like compassionate, you know, good people. But you get all 10 of them together, and now you've got a full ideology, right? And they start acting as like a organism. You
Yeah.
know, they start acting like a mob
Yeah,
because
yeah,
now
hive
they're
mind.
now they're playing out the
Yeah.
hive mind exactly, and that's something that literally all of us are susceptible to be part of. You
Yeah.
know, like if you have enough, what do they call it, like positive reinforcement on everything you say in your life, you'll become like a megalomaniac, fucking psychopath. You know?
You're out of
You're
control.
awesome. Oh, I thought of the funniest thing recently. It's off topic, but you know how paranoid schizophrenics are pretty convinced that the world's out to get them? You know, like the
Yeah.
radio's telling them that the colour blue's going to fuck their wife or something, right? Like, you know what I thought would be a hilarious idea for like a short movie, like a web series,
Yeah.
would be a paranoid schizophrenic whose delusions are suggesting that everyone's out to help him. You know, like everyone.
Stop helping me!
Yeah, like everyone's out to like just be a good dude, and like you have to do so much like experimenting and like investigating what that would actually entail.
Yeah.
But he just assumes that no one's trying to screw him, everyone's trying to help him out, everyone, and he'd go
Yeah.
through paths of life where he's just obviously being fucked over. You see it ripped off like
Yeah.
all the time,
All the
constantly
time,
ripped
yeah.
off, but he's like, thanks man, thanks for drinking all my beer, dude.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for.
Look how
thanks
much you
for
do that for
fucking-
me.
Yeah. My sister really appreciates it. You're a
I
good
feel like
dude.
he'd end up homeless.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or like a self-help like guide.
Yeah.
That
like a
writes a
guru.
fucking
Yeah,
book. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But the ideology thing, I don't want to talk, like I said, I don't want to talk for everyone, but in my opinion, embodying any kind of ideology, so let's say like a set of beliefs which are not yours and you can use as a yardstick to measure all of life's questions against.
Yeah.
It's like if I say, I know I'm going real dramatic again, but like if I say, going to war for oil is a good thing, right? Then you can either process that yourself as an individual and come up with an individualist answer,
Yeah.
or you can go, well, my ideology says that is a bad thing. It's like your Bible bashing Christians. When you ask them a question about anything, instead of them giving you an individual answer, they'll go, well, in Luke chapter 5, So
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. I want to hear you.
Yeah. What's your
And
opinion?
and we can all fall into that trap. And I think the idea is to try and get, again, just my goal, in regards to what we're trying to do, or what I'm trying to do in this vehicle, is I don't care if people are on the left or the right, if
Yeah.
they're women or men, if they're black or white or whatever. What matters, I think, in my opinion, is the sovereignty of the individual. Is that
Yeah.
we really do get back to a post-enlightenment idea that like everyone is valid and that their external identity is just irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I think that's a track that we're slowly starting to head back in. Not to sound like alarming, because I don't think it's that fast, but a track that we're kind of heading back in, where it's like, well, because you're this, therefore this.
Yeah.
Because you are straight, then you don't understand this, and I speak on behalf of whatever. It's like it's all about identity and group thing.
Yeah.
And I would really, really love to get into a position where we can interview people and talk about really, really gnarly topics. Just to force isn't the right word, but to get people talking from an independent perspective again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to genuinely know
Which
what nice guy Dave has to say about these big topics.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't want to hear what he thinks is right. Based on whatever. Like.
Yeah. Upbringing or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's way more beautiful than it just being like, well, as a New Zealander or as a
Yeah.
trans-Muslim Jew.
Transism Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does wrap your head around that one. Yeah.
Does that mean they've changed from Muslim to Jew?
I don't know anymore, man.
Oh, okay, yeah, sweet.
I've gone so far down the road. I run up rabbit hole. Like, all I see is memes everywhere.
Yeah. And isn't it super interesting though to have someone that's completely opposite to you on a thought or an idea, and just see how they came to that idea, and then it makes you think about how you came to your idea or ideology or anything like that.
What led you to
Yeah.
believe?
Yeah, and what led them to believe, and just how it could be so different. Yeah, even though it's
Absolutely. And
human.
like something that I think is like profound and sort of like a bit forgotten is that we often fall in that trap of obviously only seeing things from our own perspective and not thinking about anything beyond that. but also forgetting just how much in common we all have. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I would say that human beings are more the same than they are different, and that's a really hard thing to work out because people are fucking different, they're really different.
Everyone's different, but everyone's sort of
Yeah,
the same.
and I'm trying to work out, it's like, what qualifies people as being the same, right? Because you can't say, oh, well, it's the same because they're interested in these things or they were born in this place, because that doesn't hold up, right?
We're all people.
Yeah.
And we all suffer, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the
I
thing.
think it is, yeah,
I thought
pretty
about it
common
for a
cause,
while, and I was like, what is the
suffering.
one thing that everyone has in common besides the fact that they got to pay taxes, then they die, right? Like,
Yeah.
unless you
Yeah,
don't
but
pay
you know what I
taxes.
mean.
Yeah.
No, but everyone's view on suffering is completely different. Like,
But we
one
all
person
agree
who's-
that it's bad, right?
who's to say that your suffering is worse than my suffering?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
But there are some cases, where you can probably generally agree that their suffering is a lot worse.
If you don't mind me interjecting, that's a big point, is that it's all about perspective. Like, if you do a scale of from 1 to 10 how bad your day was today, and then you compare it to how bad your month was, and then how bad your year was, it just keeps changing that length of the scale.
Yeah, yeah.
That's called the doors of perception. Sorry, I'm rolling over my words. And it's a really interesting element of 1950s psychology, right? I can do kind of an experiment with you if you want.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to take the pen. No, I'm kidding. Okay. All right. So let's say you're at home, right, and you're working on your computer, and you've got to send an email, really, really urgent, important email, and you're halfway through or most of the way through sending it, and then the computer just shuts down, right? Just shuts down completely. What's the first thing you do? Like physically, not just scream fuck. What's the first thing that you physically do?
Try to find out what's wrong with the computer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what might you try?
The power cord or the on and off button.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So you might if you're on a laptop, maybe just hit the on button.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So you go and you realize, oh, it is plugged into the wall and the thing's on, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't work. All right, well, you still have to send the email. What do you do next?
Pull up my phone and see if it's still saved in drafts on my phone.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Because if you were to discover that that's also not working,
Yep.
then perhaps there's something majorly wrong with the internet,
Yeah.
satellite or whatever, right? So let's say that's the case. That's still not working, right?
Yeah.
And you check the fuse box in your house. That's the next thing, right? Because
Yeah.
the power's clearly out, right? Fuse box is working, right? And finally, after 15 different steps, we work out, just as a hypothetical, there was a solar flare from the sun and it blasted out a power plant fucking 100 k's away and you're in a power cut.
Yeah.
Right? The length of perception goes that some thermonuclear radiation from the sun stopped you from sending an email, right?
Yeah.
And that is true, right? That's true. But if you were to jump to that conclusion, we would say you have a psychological disorder, right? And that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you wake up and you have a pain in your side, right? You get a couple of options. One is it's a pain in my side. I'm going to go ahead and get back to work. Or yeah, I'm going to fucking die. It's super AIDS. It's like it's back AIDS or something. And if you're, one might say that if your mental state is working well, you'll take steps before you eventually go, maybe I should check for super AIDS. Because you can't just jump to that.
Super AIDS all along.
And that's the thing, is that throughout time, everything becomes so amazingly relative, and that's another one of those things that everyone experiences, is just the nature and the punishment of time itself. It's you can be so fucking rich, but you're gonna die.
All the rich people are nearly dead, aren't they?
Yeah.
Exactly, they're all old as shit, and they would all trade all their money for youth, right?
Yeah.
But we still complain that we're poor, which I do.
I've heard that the money comes at the wrong end of life.
Yeah. Fucking. Nearly blew up my vaporizer between my legs.
Sad slower.
Damn, you'd fit in where I come from. So if you imagine that you're getting up to go to work, right? And the first thing you do is turn the alarm clock off. And then the next thing you do is put your socks on. And then the next thing you do is have a shower. And the next thing, yada yada, you just...
You got a
so on and
strange
so
order in
forth.
the morning, but carry on.
Well, Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
shower.
give,
Carry on.
Give Dad a hug.
Don't let
you know, go have a shower. Kiss. Never mind. And so you take all these like micro as A to B's along the way. But one could say that all the A to B's that you're doing in your own house is to get to a greater B, which is to get into your car.
Yeah.
Right? So that's like that's a narrative, right? It's like an overarching goal, and then you get in your car and you go to work, or maybe you could break it down even more. You put the key in the ignition, and the next step is to put it in gear or whatever. And you can go down that line of thinking for such a fucking long time, and working out that life is just A's and B's, right down to the micro level. So what's the ultimate B, right? It's like, well, if the ultimate B is dying poor, you know, that's a pretty good reason to want to die, you know, like, that's fucking bad.
Yeah.
And again, this might just be me going like loopy, sitting in my room scribbling on my whiteboards, but like, everyone has a pretty good reason to die. And let me qualify that, right? Like, regardless of as to like how rich you are, or how disenfranchised you are. Of course some people have worse lives than others, like, of course, you know. Like, one of your kids having like a severe disability and then you getting cancer is worse than me getting in trouble for fraud, you know? Like, it just is. But, you know, you can't really quantify or measure that, right? But everyone has that suffering, and everyone has a pretty good reason to die. Like, and I think that's only half of the story, you know? And I think that's only a half of a lot of stories.
Yeah.
You hear that in a lot of music and artwork and all this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, you worked it out. Like, life is fucking difficult, you know?
Yeah.
So do you outsource all your victimhood to the world and say, oh, the world's just shit and, you know, it's out there to get me and all these barriers are in place to fuck me over? Or do you try and make something meaningful out of it? And I'm saying that like I'm fucking doing it, which is bullshit. I'm not doing it, you know, I'm just
Does
trying
anyone
like
really do it?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. But it comes with this big cost, right? It's like if you try and live a meaningful life, it means that literally everything you do matters, right?
Yeah.
Because I guess that's like the definition of it, right? It's like, and that's fucking shit as well. Because that means everything you say. What was that?
Why is that
shit? Because everything you say and everything you do
Means
matters, right? And you got to carry that for the rest of your life, you know?
That's
So
burden.
Yeah, because you have to take responsibility for all of that, you know? You can't say, oh, I did this thing because someone else made me. You can't say, oh, I did this thing because someone else did it to me, you know? You have to be able to, like, shoulder the responsibility of all the decisions you make.
Because if you blamed everyone else for everything, then you can't blame them for all the good things as well. Like, you have to blame them for all the good things you've done in your life as well.
Exactly.
So if everyone else is taking the blame for all the shit that happens to you, they have to take all the blame for all the everything good, all the good stuff you've done and everything like that. When I would rather have that on myself. Like, all the shit happens to me because...
Blame the bad things on other people.
And the
take
good things on
responsibility
yourself.
for them.
That's just
That's what they call
selfish.
sociopathy.
Yeah.
It's like the fucking the man's out to keep me down, you know. But I got this pay rise at work, so I'm awesome.
I did it earlier,
Yeah. And I think that's it. It's like people. I mean, if the topic is what does everyone have in common, which is real complicated. And like, I don't know, I just talk fast and people think I know things, which is, I don't, at all. I work in outdoor living solutions. So if you want to know about outdoor living solutions, I'll fucking talk about it for hours, mate. But I can pretend to talk about philosophy. And it seems obvious to me that something that literally everyone has in common, regardless of where in the world they're from, is that they exist, that they suffer, and that they have the choice to either have a meaningful life or die, right? And that, I think, unites everyone. I think. I could be fucking wrong, you know?
It's definitely up there.
Yeah.
We should get Ryan in here.
Who's Ryan?
That would throw such a mix in things. But no, I don't disagree.
A Hare Krishna?
Yeah, we could get a Hare Krishna in.
Huh. I'm part of the Church of Hare Krishna. Well, Dari Krishna. Dari Krishna.
Oh, that's the one.
That's the one, yeah. We worship
Close.
the great pack of smoke.
Close, but no cigar.
The great
There's
pack
a lot
of Marlboro
big
Reds and
opinions
stuff.
on like the purpose of things and how you can either believe that there's a purpose for everything or there's nothing.
No
There's
purpose at all.
That's simplifying probably 5,000 years of really complicated thought. But yeah, fair enough. Like, it's, yeah, I think I know what he means. Is he shaved his head and gotten all peaceful?
He's still got ginger hair.
Yeah, but he's pretty peaceful.
Yeah, he's pretty peaceful.
Yeah, they get pretty peaceful as Christians. This doesn't sound that much fun.
Well, I see them dancing down the street and stuff like that.
Yeah, they throw down really hard.
Yeah.
They throw down. I feel like we
They also try to sell you books. But anyway,
I feel like they need to be filmed and then dub over like some dubstep or like Lamb of God or something. Some real kick
Yeah.
Dubstep or Lamb of God.
Well, those are the only two songs are this songs, right?
Yeah.
No, they're
Sweet.
lifestyles.
I fucking listen to Kenny Rogers. Like, I want to die.
All right. So on that note, just like to say that part of the Opshop Radio theme is to have a little bit of community input as well. So we managed to go out on Queen Street and ask a few people about their opinions on what Opshop Radio is about and what they'd like to see in the future episodes. So we'll cut here for a break and then return shortly.
Hiya, I'm producer Sasha and we're out on Queen Street doing our first Opshop Radio interviews. It is currently 10 degrees out, so we'll see how many people will actually stop and give us their time on such a cold day.
Cool. I'd say I agree pretty strongly with what you're saying in that video. Yeah, I think a lot of social media tends to sort of put people into echo chambers, essentially. So it's good to have a kind of platform where you can have people with varying opinions talking to each other without it being hostile, I guess, because it usually turns hostile. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm just wondering what thoughts on what kind of topics we could bring up in particular, any that kind of spring to mind.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot, because it seems like almost everything gets polarized these days, so there's a lot of the more polarizing topics where you can get people who have perspectives on either side to talk about it. Like, I can't really think of any examples. Actually, one thing I'm quite interested in is genetically modified food, because that's kind of a field that I'm getting into in the science side of things, and there's very strong opinions on either side of that debate, and it's something that's quite interesting to have discussed.
For sure, yeah, we'd love to bring that up in one of our podcasts. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I'm not someone that posts a lot on social media because I prefer just to stay in the real world. Like, you get someone that updates their Instagram story, Snapchat story, but I'm not all for that. Like, I don't go on Snapchat. I might sort of check here and there, like what a friend sent me, but yeah, I like to stay in the real world. Like going on a walk somewhere, but I'm not here letting everyone know I've been on a walk somewhere pretty, you know. I'm enjoying it when I'm there, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, and just the other question is, what topics would you like to see on a podcast like this? Because we've got quite a wide range that you're going to approach. Is there anything in particular you'd like to hear about?
I think the effect that it's having on children these days, like I've got really little brothers with my mum, and she will sometimes just put them on a tablet with YouTube, or you know, give them the tablet and they have whatever they want. Like I've caught the 3-year-old watching something that you maybe not want them to watching, like a gaming thing, like where they record it and they have all the shooting and stuff, and he just thinks it's a game, but I don't think it's something a 3-year-old should be watching. But yeah, I think the effect it's having on children especially.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that covers it. Yeah.
Thanks for doing
Yeah,
that.
thank you so much for participating.
Our first interviewee, he liked the idea. Yeah, we're rolling. He liked the idea, and
That's all right.
and he was interested in talking about genetically modified food, and maybe we should just start on that.
We have added those to the topics list, so we don't need to actually bring them up today.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right then.
Yeah,
That's cool. So that will come out of the hat at some point.
I definitely would like to talk about that. Like, it's quite interesting.
Okay, I don't know. anything about it.
Especially the genetically modified food thing, because
Yep.
because you know, gotta be onto what we're
Well,
putting in our bodies.
it might be
Yeah.
poisonous as, but it also brings a whole lot of people out of poverty.
Oh man, the flavours.
Anyway,
What?
it's so good. Anyway,
Yeah.
and our second interviewee, the young lady, was interested in talking about
Childhood pornography.
no, not childhood pornography. Whoa! I don't share his opinions and didn't talk about that during the break at all.
The effects of technology.
On children, yeah, absolutely. So that's gone in the hat as well, and that'll be popping up sometime in one of the later episodes at random. Thank God, so I can have absolutely no preparation for it.
Awesome.
Mm.
That's how we like it.
What next, Miss Producer?
So if you wanted to bring up any potential ideas for segments we could do, and that way we can put it up to the audience to maybe do some suggestions themselves or elaborate on anything that we've chosen.
I've got one. I want to be able to do giveaways, right? I really, really love the idea, and I like
You
posting
can have
shit
this,
anyway.
and you can have
Yeah, exactly. So
That's
whoever
what
comes
it's
up with the best idea for something that's quirky and weird and cheap, that we can all sign or all spit on or something like that, you know, or bleed on or something, and we can post it to them. Whoever thinks up the best one that we pick, we'll send them the first one, and it'll say, opshopradio, you know, one of Bo's
Enjoy your
used
happy
condoms
meal.
0001,
Yeah.
and then dated or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something I'd really love to do.
Yeah. I'm on board with that
Yeah,
possibility.
but if you have to clone me, send me a clone. Sweet.
So I can fuck me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything in closing?
Just anyone else got any ideas for segments or anything like that?
In upcoming. Or
Pardon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Future topics or ideas or.
Well, I'm intending to bring some pretty interesting people on the show. I think you guys are as well.
Yeah.
We're likely to be moving locations for the next and the near future shooting. We've got a place in mind that we won't mention just yet, but it's really, really awesome, and we'll be able to fit more people a bit more comfortably in.
Sorry.
How blessed.
Cheers. You do it into the mic for me?
Yeah.
And get some mics rigged up
Yeah.
and all that sort of thing.
Get a good sound.
Yeah, we've shortlisted a jazz music major, a wizard, and a couple of other people that I won't mention yet.
Yeah. Should be interesting.
Yeah. All right.
So do you guys want to end off on one of our, what we hope to be a segment in future episodes is one of our random questions?
Yes, random questions.
Yeah, we try to keep them as non-serious as possible, but you can go in as depth as you like with them. We shall start off with... Can you tell someone's sexuality from their hairstyle?
Yeah, I said it earlier. If you don't have one of these, probably queer.
well, you know,
I'm cool with gays.
I'm running the opposite, and I don't really.
Yeah.
Fuck, that makes me the queer. Dad was right.
Dad's always right.
Always right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Just dawned on you? Yeah. It sneaks up on
Can
you.
you tell someone's
Yeah.
sexuality by their hair? I am a fan of generalizations. Not necessarily all governing stereotypes, because they can hurt feelings, I'm told.
Yeah.
But if you see let's say a stylish young man with shaved legs and pink hair down to his tits,
I have never seen that.
You have not loved my head.
You can't just nod.
we can show you. There's a street. Donning a gorgeous satin dress with a handbag.
Yep.
Isn't that
I would
Kerrang,
be.
Andy?
Yeah.
No.
I'll be leaning toward that. Perhaps we could assume that his sexuality may not be.
Straight.
I was going to say of the common persuasion. So yes, sometimes.
Sometimes.
I feel like
Sometimes.
if you ran into that, they'll say whatever you're happy with, I am. You know?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I feel like they
That's
go
pretty
that go that
judgmental.
day.
That's pretty judgmental there, Steve.
Yeah, okay, that was a bit.
Yeah.
Hey, freedom of speech, man.
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't
exactly.
hold it against me though.
Exactly. In saying that, I've met plenty of gay dudes that break the stereotype. They're massively overweight, disgusting, not any good at picking out clothes. Yeah, basically just predatory males.
But I also think
What?
I think that, like, you know, that's all very well and what
Sure.
you said.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, regardless of sexuality, there's just normal, average, conforming. I can't say the word normal. That's
No,
wrong.
no.
That is absolutely
It's
wrong.
not demonetized.
Yeah. But you know, everyday people that you wouldn't look twice at in the street, you can't just tell someone's sexuality. It's like that. It's exactly judging a book by its cover. You cannot just look at someone and go, ha, gay, or, you know, oh, you're straight as the...
You can, and it's funny.
So essentially we're debating if gaydar is a thing.
Yeah,
Hey, there is
basically.
totally a thing, but not a
And
thing.
I think everyone has it, but it, like I say with cross legs, I think everyone has it, but it's not as accurate as we like to think. you
Yeah,
know?
no, definitely not.
Because often that one dude who you're pretty sure is gay as Christmas and isn't there to steal your woman is the exact one that steals your woman. Because you're like, he's not the threat around here.
That's just as soon as you let your guard down.
Yeah. What are those fucking kinds of monkeys? They're like a kind of monkey, and they the smaller males, their gene pool is basically fucked because like they don't the stronger, smarter males and the stronger, smarter females don't typically reproduce as much because the weak beta males pretend to be females and go and hide amongst the females and you know, kind of like shoo away the men, and then have really awful like 4 out of 10 beta sex with the female monkeys, and it just produces more beta males, you know, and that's what it's like, you know.
I have to be a big monkey so I can. No. This is how you do it. Yeah. It's like,
Put on a
give it
skirt.
take. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't worry, you can be naked around me. I'm gay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
That's something that's quite common throughout the animal kingdom. There's species of birds, and I think cuttlefish potentially, the ones that change colours and everything like that. Yeah, they both have the pretend to be the opposite sex just to sneak in kind of attitude.
My favourite is the money spider. So if you've ever seen a spider that's like is about as big as a decimal point on like a page, like and it's red, tiny fuck. Yeah. So they've got some real interesting ways to reproduce. And I think we should all draw inspiration from the money spider.
Yeah.
So one of the
They
ways
throw money like at the strip club.
and all the like spider strippers.
Yeah.
You'd have to go to Hamilton for spider strippers. No, one of the things that they do is they build a fort out of tiny little sticks, and they glue it all together with cum, with their own cum,
Protein,
and they make this like fucking cum shack and sit in it.
I'm one for my ladies.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine being that fucking operator, that hench that you can just sit on a throne made of your own cum and sticks that you've collected?
Yeah.
Women are like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty sweet chair.
Does
bro."
that mean like the money spiders that have like the double-story house?
Yeah,
Are they like the boss
the
ones?
most fertile.
Yeah.
Alpha
Yeah.
fucking- and another thing that they do, it might not be money spiders, but it may be them. There's a variety of spider that like it carries around, and it's like in one of its glands or something. It's like a really sweet sugar-like fluid, you know. And what it does is it creeps onto the female's web, which is way bigger. Like the female's not quite like that, but the female's way bigger than the male's. He goes up, and I think he like spits in her face, right? With this like sweet
This
shit.
is how we should live.
I've been trying, and I just get restraining orders. We're not near a school or anything.
Actually, there's 2 in the local area.
Shit.
I'm gonna get fucking fact checked and told off. But I think he spits this sweet shit in her face,
Yeah.
and she's like, you know,
Yeah.
soy latte, you know, like starts like eating it up, and then he sneaks around behind her and quickly fucks her and then runs away. And that's who he doesn't like.
Then it's like tap and gap. It's like,
He's sorted it out. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
That's, evolution has created something that perfect, and we spend all this time being like, you know, you're pretty hot, eh? Can I buy you something? You know, and then at some point, I mean, not on the coast. On the coast, it's, you know, 5 minutes into the date you can chat, but you know, for the rest of civilized
Short girl's a
humanity,
sure thing. Yeah.
is that short girl, short wine? But we go through, we jump through all these fucking hoops, you know.
Mhm.
She just present them with like a cheesecake. You're like, no,
Why are you busy
I
here?
don't condone
Yeah.
cheesecake rape. It's not good.
have you heard of that? That
Were we talking about gay here?
Yeah. Gay. No, it wasn't gay hair. It was.
was-
Can you tell someone's sexuality from their hairstyle?
Yeah.
But can I just divert back?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Have you, I can't remember the exact like species of lizard, but there are no males left. There is only females of this species of lizard, and they actually like sort of like
They fuck each other?
they pretend to fuck each other to get pregnant.
And they get
It was voted one. I remember it was
like
voted,
placebo
voted
effect
one of the most
pregnancy.
extreme animals in the world.
and the
They
males get
two
only the
males
females
pretend
get
to
pregnant.
fuck to get pregnant.
Wait, so
And
there's
then they
only,
both get pregnant?
there's only females left,
There's only females left.
right? And so they
again
dry
don't quote me
shag
for this.
each other,
Yeah.
and it makes one of them go, "I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant."
I'm pretty sure that's how it
Pretty
works.
sure that's how it works.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
I don't know. You have to
The
look
power
that
of
one up.
mind.
Is it sort of like a self-insemination kind of thing?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Cloning.
I guess
Yeah.
so.
Like,
but
what, is
isn't
that
it myth?
mitosis? I don't know what mitosis
No,
is.
that's when they split apart.
Yeah.
That's how I want to read it.
Yeah. Oh, little me.
Yeah, they both become what, 2 foot?
You just
4?
lose a toe and it becomes like a smaller version of
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you see him?
You had that thing the other day. You're talking about if you half someone completely atom by atom.
Yeah, so if you had like a superpower where you could control matter, if you erased exactly every second like atom of a person, would there be half the person, like, would there be wholly, or would there just be bits of the person missing, or
Would they
I feel
shrink?
like you know what would happen is you'd look at them, and
Well,
they'd
we
be
don't-
exactly the same, but
Dead as?
no.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like really
dead
big.
ass. No. But like you get up to them and then you're like, whoa, is this a hologram? Because you know it's just sort of like there, but sort of
I
see
don't know
through
much
at the
about
same
those.
time.
It's
you
like
know?
a real old person, eh? When they're so old, they're like translucent.
Yeah.
Because they would have to be half the weight of what they originally were.
Technically speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how would they shrink, or would they just be?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
know.
I feel
See,
like a
I
lot of
know
your
for
organs wouldn't work
years
properly
everyone
after
was
that.
saying that the space
There'd be
between
water in your lungs.
particles is way bigger
Yep.
than the space that particles actually
Take up.
take up. Yeah. Now I don't know if that's
So then it
actually
wouldn't
true
matter.
or not.
Yeah, I heard like there's the. Ah man, we're gonna get like fact checked on this shit.
You're going to get told off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we should stop talking.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
has been Opshop. No. Yeah, carry on.
But yeah, there's like the. I want to say like the neutron and then the electrons going around the outside. And apparently, if you size that up to like if the neutron was the size of a human, it would be like 40k away or something. The electron would be.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if that plays any role in deleting every one of
Yeah.
every second one of a particle that makes up a person. I imagine they would pretty much instantly be dead.
Have you tried Googling it?
No,
I don't think that would come up.
Illegal.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Not okay. Surely, if you're erasing half of the blood cells in their body, then that would be like half
But-
the oxygen. But then their brain wouldn't need, or their body wouldn't need, they'd need half.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be necessarily like the blood cells either, because it would be smaller than the blood cells, so it would be at half of.
But can you tell their
Yeah.
sexuality?
By their hair.
No, from their half their
Half
matter.
their hair.
Yeah.
I don't actually think you can tell someone's sexuality by their hair, but I think you can get a reasonably good indicator Sometimes.
Yeah.
Just sometimes
Or
it's a
you-
giveaway.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like when a chick's got a shaved head and has like broader shoulders than Bo,
Mm.
you know, I'm not making
That could
generalizations.
definitely be genetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could just be in the Marines or something.
But then again, why does that come up? Like she maybe not straight. Though. Why would that come up?
Well, exactly,
Yeah.
right? I mean, stereotypes tend to come about. I mean, everything has to happen for a reason. You can't
Yeah.
you can't just say, "Oh, it's bad people perpetuating a bad thing,"
Mhm.
right? Like that's part of it. That's always going to be part of it. But it can't. It has to be more complex than that. Why is it that we get this idea of like, oh, lesbians drive Subarus,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's funny, right?
I've not heard of that one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it's funny. How true is it statistically? Not true at all. You know. So it's kind of like a meme, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it's an idea that people relate to on some small level, so they're willing to
I feel like the next
like
time I see
wear it
some-
like a badge.
some
Yeah,
big
Subaru Outbacks, my dude.
The next time I see some big thug dude hop out of a Subaru, I'm going to go up to him and tell him, I'm
Mm.
a lesbian driver.
It'll be chicks that look like me.
Subaru.
Drive one of these.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in that case I'd go to say something and then just turn around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get invited into the car.
I did have a thought to another topic that could be brought up in future. Just forgetting the word. Really, can we just continue?
Basically,
Pretend that it never happened. I never opened my mouth. No, it's a type of cell, and it's used for like it can be used in
Stem cells.
Stem cells.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yes.
Stem
Yeah,
cells. I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that's such a really interesting topic, and it's really
And CRISPR. Yeah.
yeah, but there's a lot of
Stem
problems
cells.
in regards.
Yeah. Stem cell editing.
Oh, funny you
Yeah.
should say CRISPR, because
Yes, I heard
today
of that.
I was eating a bag of chips that were owned by a company called CRISPR, right?
Yeah.
And I looked on the back, right? What the fuck are they called?
And they had stem cells in the packet.
No.
And then now I'm butch as fuck. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, my kidneys were.
I have a functioning
CRISPR,
liver.
and it said CRISPR owned by Bluebird, right?
Yep.
And then under that it said Bluebird owned by PepsiCo, right? And
Yeah.
that's my whole story.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, it's not more interesting than that. But it was kind of weird. It's like, man, there's a pyramid scheme going on just in this bag of chips. You know, like just in this bag of chips, I'm being lied to twice. You know, like, for $1.50 of
Why
fucking
chips?
Yeah.
I trusted you.
Exactly. This is why you
Yeah.
abolish capitalism.
Yeah.
Because these delicious chips that I can afford with my hard-earned money. You know, yeah. Oh, brilliant. Anyway, thank you so much for watching episode 0. We will be working on this over the next week or so and using it to determine what our format is for the future. So let us know which one of us you hate the most. I've been Ethan. This is Bo. Denise and Patrick. and our producer Sarah from behind. We'll see you next time. Vote Bill English.
Take care.